Hi you guys, my name is Cyan Martin and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So as you can tell, today we are doing another 24-hour reading vlog. Last time the way I did this was I broke it up into two 12-hour segments, but currently I'm feeling sick. A little under the weather. So I decided that I'm going to try and see if I can actually stay up for a full 24 hours and read the whole time. I am still going to be doing the timer method, and anytime I take a break or anything like that, I'm going to shut off the timer. However, don't hold me accountable. If I can't stay up for 24 hours, can you blame me? It's also not healthy for you, but I'm a college student, so I do this a lot anyways, if I'm being honest. So that's what we're doing today. I'm going to try and see how many books I can read in 24 hours. And I'm going to sit here and rot in this spot in my little comfy reading thing. And yeah, we're starting a little bit late. It is 8:16 p.m. So I'm actually going to order dinner. I think I want some chicken soup from Chick-fil-A. And then I'm going to eat that and come back. And we'll pick our first book together as well. So stay tuned for the ride. It has been an hour and 40 minutes and I have made it to page 202 in the book, chapter 25, and so far I am loving it. If you don't know what the first book in the series is about, it's about a girl named Evangeline, and she needs something to happen, and the only way for that to happen is through a fate named Jax, who is very powerful, very magical. Hard to describe what the fates are, but they're basically treated like gods that people are terrified of, so they're not necessarily good gods. And so she goes to him and he offers her a deal to where he will do this certain thing for her, and in return she has to give 3 people of his choosing at his time a kiss, and these kisses will be magical. So most likely it's not gonna be good because Jax isn't necessarily a good guy, and so a lot happens in the first book, Once Upon a Broken Heart, and this is just a continuation of the story. So this book is still the same characters and everything like that, and I am absolutely loving it. It's so good. I feel like I'm reading it so fast because Stephanie Garber's writing is just absolutely amazing, and I really love our characters in this book. If you did read the Carval trilogy, Evangeline was not in that one, but Jax was, so you get to learn a lot more about him in that trilogy, and I am just so glad to see more of his story. I'm loving it. But now we shall continue reading on. But first, before I forget, let's start the timer back up. So we are now at 3 hours and 24 minutes. I'm not going to speak much on this because I feel like I've been talking about this series as a whole a lot recently, and the Carval trilogy. Just know that I think this one was a lot better than the first book. I'm going to give it 5 stars, and I definitely think it's worth the hype. Everyone's been reading it recently. I think you should too. So there you have it. And I already did pick out my next read. What time is it? It's 12:45 in the morning, and I'm not even tired yet. So I'm going to start another book. This is the second in a series as well, and I just read it in my last video. I loved it, so I'm really excited. I also think that if I start to get tired in the next couple of hours, I'll still want to read because this book is just so good, so fast-paced, and it'll keep my attention because it is a thriller slash mystery. That is Killer Instinct. It's the second book in Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Love this series, you guys. If you like Criminal Minds, pick it up. And I'm just ready to get back into this world and see what the heck is going to go on in this book. I'm starting to look a little greasy now, but it's okay. I just undid the timer on accident. No, I was literally at 5 hours. Well, now we're only gonna go to 21 hours, but it was at 5 hours, and I have made it halfway through Killer Instinct. So this is about a group of 5 teenagers who get recruited by the FBI because they all have special abilities that can help them solve cold cases. In the very first book in the series, we introduced all the characters and we learn what they can do. So we have Cassie and Dean, who are FBI profilers. We have Leah, who can tell when people are lying and is really good at lying. We have Sloane, who is the numbers and statistics person, kind of like Reed from Criminal Minds, if you've ever seen that. And then we have Michael, who is good at reading people's emotions, and that is it. They are part of this team, and in the first book, we went through a serial killer that was present and wasn't a cold case that they ended up finding themselves wrapped up in, and so they were helping with that case instead of a cold case. Are we following? And then in this book, they are now wrapped up in another case that is ongoing. And the first book was all about Cassie. It was in her point of view. In this book, it is still in Cassie's point of view, but it is more about Dean and his backstory, and I am really enjoying it so far. I also love the fact that there is a love triangle going on, and when I read the first book in the series, I didn't particularly like any of the love interests, but in this one, I am leaning towards one of them, and I'm just gonna say it. It's Michael, which is surprising to me because I didn't really like him in the first book, but now I really like him. I don't know what it is. I think he's redeemed himself, but I have a theory on who she's gonna end up with too. I don't know, but we shall see in the future. But I'm really enjoying it. I am getting a little sleepy, surprisingly, but I think I can make it through. We'll just have to see. I literally just talked to the camera for like 10 minutes and then it shut off and I was like, what the heck? And I realized that I wasn't even recording, so that's fun. But it is now 4:23 in the morning. I've been reading for an hour and 46 minutes. Technically, plus the 5, that's 6 hours and 46 minutes. And I just finished Killer Instinct by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And this one, I think I like it better than the first one. They're nothing out of this world. The plot twists do end up becoming pretty guessable because you have multiple options. So any of them that you think could be it, it's probably going to be it. Does this make sense? But I really enjoyed it and I think they're just fun, fast-paced YA reads. And I like that each book, I'm assuming because the first one was based mostly on Cassie and this one mostly on Dean's story, I'm assuming the other books are going to go the same way, or maybe we'll get every other person's story in the books. And I also like that in each one they're working on a different serial killer. That way you're not just reading one prolonged story throughout all of the books. I really enjoyed it. I think I would still just have to give it 4 stars though, because like I said, it's nothing out of this world, but it is really, really fun. So I do highly recommend that. And now we're gonna start our third book, you guys. And I actually think that I want to pick up Belladonna by Adeline Grace because I think this was popular last year and maybe a couple months ago the second book, Foxglove, came out. So I want to see what this one's about. I have the special edition with the really pretty sprayed edges, and I don't know, it just seems like a cool concept. It says that like everyone in her life dies for some reason and that she is going to meet death himself. So that seems pretty fascinating to me and I'm excited to see what it's all about. Is this a fantasy? Because like death isn't a person and she's seeing death personified, so like does that make it a fantasy? I don't know. I guess we'll read it and find out. Okay, so we are at 4 hours and 34 minutes plus 5, so 9 hours and 34 minutes. I have made it to page 200 in Belladonna, and so far this is about Cigna, and basically her parents died when she was really young, and after that she has been bouncing from home to home to home, and every single time growing up they would die. Something would happen, but now she has moved in with a new family, and I don't want to spoil it, but she can see Death himself. And so she has moved in with a new family and she's trying to prevent Death from coming around and killing this family. So that's pretty much all I got, you know? That's what's happening. I am actually really liking it, but it's, I think, gonna have a subplot of romance, and it just doesn't seem right for Death to be the main love interest. But there's also another love triangle, but I have a theory. So this is going to be a spoiler. So if you haven't read this book, skip to here. But she is also seeing this other guy who like works at the house. What is his name? So the other guy that is in this love triangle is Silas, and I have a feeling that Silas is Death because I really like both of them. It's hard to pick one over the other. Obviously, you'd want her to be with Silas because like that's a real person and not Death himself. So, is the author going to make them the same person? We shall see. But anyways, I am thoroughly enjoying it. I think I like the banter between her and Death. It's really funny. I also like that it's kind of a little mystery going on because she knows that someone is basically trying to kill this new family that she is living with. And it's also just really interesting to see that she does kind of have powers in a way. Once again, it's so hard to explain without spoiling it, but I'm having fun. It's pretty good so far. But I'm just going to keep reading now, and I'll update you guys, of course, when I finish. Okay, it is 10:15 in the morning, and I have reached 7 hours and 22 minutes. So plus the 5 hours earlier, that's 12 hours and 22 minutes. And I just finished our third book. Wow! Finished 3 books in 12 hours. I think it's because the first 2 were YA, the font was really big, and they were just fast reads. But anyways, this one was so good. I did have a really fun time reading it. My prediction was correct, so I hope you skipped that part because I warned you it would be a spoiler. But my prediction was correct. I am so happy with how this ended. It does end on a cliffhanger, so I am excited. I think I definitely am going to end up purchasing Foxglove and reading that one sometime down the road. I guess you could consider it fantasy in a way because of the fact that like she has abilities. Yeah, she kind of has powers, and because Death is personified in this book, so I guess you could say it is fantasy, but I think it was more heavy on being like a mystery, trying to figure out who was trying to kill her family and stopping them and stuff like that. So that was really fun, and I think I'm just gonna, I'm gonna give it 5 stars because I didn't want to put this book down. I had so much fun going along with it, figuring it out. Definitely give it a try if you want to, though. I would say people either like it, it's okay to them, or they love it, but I haven't really seen many bad reviews of it, and I liked it. So there you have it, you guys. But I lied. I am getting very, very tired, so I'm going to take just a little wee bit of a nap because Parker's probably gonna wake up at like 2 p.m. maybe, and I'm just gonna wake up when he wakes me up and pick back up reading. So I'll only take like a 4-hour nap and then I'll be back. And oh my god, someone just farted. One of the dogs. They're laying right here on my lap. I don't know if you can see him. There's Dash. He likes to be above the covers. And then Blue, you can't see him, but he's hiding. He likes to go under the covers. So one of them just farted and it smells so bad. Their farts are like nukes. That's awful. We need to air it out over here. I think that was you, Blue, and you are running away to get away from your own fart. Anyways, good night. I'll see you guys later on. Okay, you guys, so it has only been a few hours later. It is now 1:30, and I slept for like 2 hours maybe, got up, showered, got ready, and now I'm ready to pick back up reading because let me tell you, I feel like a whole brand new person once I have showered. So we're going to continue this readathon, and the next book we're actually going to be reading is Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. Yeah, we're going to read this. I have no idea what this this is about. Obviously, she's going to become an assistant to the villain. I don't know if it's fantasy, I don't know what is happening in this book, but we're gonna give it a shot and see how it is. This is a new-ish release, so I'm excited, and yeah, just gonna see how it goes. And yesterday we read for 5 hours, and then my stopwatch says that we have 7 hours and 22 minutes, so that means we have to read for 11 hours and 38 minutes. So this should be fun. Okay, so I thought I'd update you because I am about halfway through the book. This is about Evie, and Evie finds herself in a situation where she is in need of a new job in order to help provide for her family. So she is one day walking through the woods when she encounters the villain. We don't actually know his name, he's just known as the town villain, who's basically going up against the king. Once she encounters him, stuff goes down and he offers her a job as his assistant. So now she is his assistant working for him, and it's hard to explain because she's kind of like a good girl, but the evil stuff that her boss does absolutely doesn't faze her at all. Like, she literally walked into the office and there's like the heads of people that he has killed just in the office. So, I mean, good for you, Evie. But the office setting, I thought it was actually going to be like Evie and him just alone, her being his assistant. But it's like a full office setting where there are other characters involved and other workers. And so you get to meet these other characters. I don't know too much about the other characters though, so I don't really know how I feel about them quite yet. But I do like the story so far. I will say it feels very romance heavy, which I wasn't expecting. And also the vibes are not really fantasy vibes, more of fairy tale vibes, if that makes any sense at all. But I am liking it. It's just, I really didn't expect it to mostly be a romance, but that's what it feels like it is. And we are halfway through the book and there's like no romance yet. I just said that it mostly feels like a romance. Maybe I'm just mostly clinging to like the parts where you can tell that they obviously have feelings for one another, but they're not doing anything about it. So maybe that's why I feel like it's mostly romance, but like nothing has actually happened, even though we're 50% of the way through the book. So it is definitely a slow burn. I think that's a better way of describing it. But I'm enjoying it, so I'm just gonna keep reading and we'll see how this one ends. Okay, I had to shut my curtains and stuff because there were people playing football outside and I would be so embarrassed if they witnessed this. So, if the lighting looks bad, I apologize. But we have now made it to the 12 and a half almost hour mark plus the 5 from yesterday, so 17 and a half hours. And I just finished The Assistant to the Villain. This is our 4th book. And this one, I don't really know how I feel because I did enjoy it, but there were some parts that were a little bit slow. I didn't necessarily care for like the plot that was going on, if I'm going to be honest. I was just here for the romance, but it was still pretty decent. I would give it 4 stars because I do love a slow burn, and all those little breadcrumbs of romance I was just absolutely eating up because I love a slow burn. And yeah, I'm trying to think of like things to say, but that's really all I got, you know? I'm just here having a good time. The ending also does leave off on a cliffhanger, so I'm excited to see what the next book is, and this is a debut novel, I believe, so this is her first book, so I have to give her props. We'll see how the second one goes. Maybe the story will feel more developed since I already know the characters. Maybe her writing style will improve. Who knows? But overall, it was pretty dang good. So that was that one. Now let's move on to our 5th book? Yeah, let me go pick one out. Okay, so our next book is actually going to be Anatomy, a Love Story by Dana Schwartz. This is, I believe, YA, and I think it's a romance. Let me actually read this. A gothic tale full of mystery and romance. That'll be fun. Kind of will be like Belladonna with the mystery and romance side. And I only ever read like the first sentence, so it says Hazel Sinnett is a lady who wants to be a surgeon more than she wants to marry. I guess those two things correspond. planned. But Jack Kerr is a resurrection man who's just trying to survive in a city where it's too easy to die. Okay, now I'm really excited. Also, this is part of Reese's YA book club. So yeah, it is YA, by the way. And I saw somewhere the other day that I had no idea Reese's book club was by Reese Witherspoon. Didn't know that. And apparently she makes a ton of money off of this, because if you see a book with this label, it's part of her book club. So she adds these books in, promotes them as part of her book club. You know, obviously it's in her book club, so it's going to get a lot of recognition. And part of the agreement is that because of that, she gets like the first movie rights to make her own movie out of these books. Isn't that genius? Reese is out here making moves. So if you ever see a book with this on it that was turned into a movie, it was most likely produced by Reese Witherspoon. I think Where the Crawdads Sing is one of those. But anyways, that's just a fun fact. I did not know that. I saw it on TikTok. You know, you learn something new every single day. But anyways, we're gonna start reading this. Okay, I paid. What? I have made it to chapter 19 in the book. We are now at 14 hours and 21 minutes. And this book, Anatomy, a Love Story, it is about Hazel and Jack. So Hazel, it's in like what year was this? Okay, it's in 1817 in Edinburgh. Is that how you say it? I'm pretty sure, is that in like England or something? I think so. But she wants to be more than anything a medical student, and she wants to become a surgeon. But surgeons are actually looked down upon. I don't know if that was true for back in the day. I'm assuming it was. And it is only a male-dominated field during this time, so she is not allowed to become a surgeon. And another reason why is because her mother is trying to pretty much marry her off. It is like that kind of time period, if you get what I'm saying. So instead of getting married, she really wants to go to the school for surgeons that's going on. And so something happens. Long story short, the professor tells her that if she can pass like the final surgeon exam at the end or whatever, that she's accepted. Like all is fine, all is well, even if you're a girl, but she's not allowed to go to class like the other male students. So she meets Jack, and he is a resurrection man, which means that he basically digs up dead bodies and sells them to people, which if you weren't aware, this was actually a really big phenomenon back in the day where medical students didn't have access to dead bodies. So there was a lot of grave diggers that would steal the bodies and do science research on them. So that is what he's doing, but he's not actually like doing the research. He's just digging up the dead bodies and selling it to people. But there's also some other weird stuff going around town, and there's like a mystery element to it, so they're figuring out what's happening. I'm not going to tell you because I think it would be fun to go into that blind. And of course, since Hazel is not allowed to actually go to the classes, she needs to learn about the human body, so she ends up hiring Jack to find her dead bodies. And I am really enjoying the story so far. I obviously can tell that there's going to be a romance ensuing, and I like both of our characters. I think Hazel is a strong, independent character, and I love that for her, that she wants to be a surgeon instead of getting married. Great. However, there are some kind of graphic scenes in here, because keep in mind, since they are medical students, there is like one in particular where it was showing a leg getting amputated, and the way she talked about it and described it, I personally didn't mind, but I know some people might find that graphic, so just keep that in mind if you're going into it. But I am eating this up. This is so good. This is right up my alley. It has romance, it has a mystery, and it has like the same stuff that I'm learning in school, so I'm loving it. Fun fact, I did have to do a cadaver lab one time where we basically dissected a whole entire human body, and let me just say, I will not be donating my body to science, because we were like the 12th group of students to come and dissect this one body. How that works, I don't really know, but 12 students, 12 groups of students. And the school that I go to is technically a military college, so a lot of the people that are in the school, they're called cadets, and they're going to go off to go into the military after college. And they're kind of like, I know not everyone is like this, but the ones I've experienced, they're kind of frat boy-like. So they were literally taking this man's arms and being like, high five me, bro. I don't know. That just seemed kind of wrong. So if that's the science that we're dealing with, I don't think I'm going to donate my body. I will be an organ donor, but not to science. Anyways, that was just a little story time for you guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Let's get into reading. So I just finished anatomy and we have now reached 16 hours and 13 minutes. And this book was so good. I'm gonna just give it 5 stars. I'm not gonna be picky here because I loved this. I ate it up. Feel like I read it so fast. Enjoyed every single second of it. There wasn't like a single moment where I was bored, but that's because like this is what I live for. Stuff like this. If we have the same book taste, you might not necessarily love this book as much as I did, but I think you would still really enjoy it. I think one of the main reasons why it's a 5-star is because this topic in general is just so interesting to me. I loved the time period that we were set in. I loved both of our characters. I loved their romance. The mystery was really intriguing. It's not really like a mystery where the whole time I really was trying to guess the answer or like the plot twist that was gonna happen. It was one of those mysteries where I don't know why, but I just read through it, enjoyed it, and went along for the ride. You know, I wasn't overthinking it the whole time, but I was still so invested. And there is a second book. I believe it's just going to be a duology, and I did already order it. So thank you, Amazon. It will be here tomorrow. But wow, this was just fantastic. So I do highly recommend it. But now we have 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Wait, 21. We have reached 21 hours. So we have 3 hours left. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish the next book that I pick out. It is 11 at night though. So we're probably not gonna get done until like 2 a.m. But let me go pick out our next read and I'll be right back. Okay, so I think I've picked out our next book that we're gonna get into, and that is Scythe by Peter Schusterman. This, I thought it was gonna be like a fantasy, but I'm pretty sure after doing more research that it's actually considered dystopian. So this is about a world where there's like no disease, no hunger, no war, no misery, and humanity has even conquered death. So now there are these things called Scythes, who they are pretty much in charge of going around and killing people and deciding who dies like permanently. So yeah, I'm excited to get into it. So let's finish up these last 3 hours and see how far we can get into this. Okay guys, so it's currently 2:11 in the morning. Can you see that? And we have reached 19 hours and 13 minutes plus the 5 hours from yesterday. Yeah, that's over 24 hours, just making sure. And I have made it to chapter 21 in the book Scythe, and this, I'm loving it. I'm eating it up already, but I'm so tired, so I'm about to go to bed. But this is about Citra and Rowan. They are both teenagers who are chosen to be apprentices for a scythe so that in the future they can become scythes themselves. And eventually Rowan and Citra, I don't want to ruin anything, but they are pitted against each other, and some big huge plot twist that I wasn't expecting happened pretty early on, and it blew my mind. Something happened that I didn't want to happen. I hope it's not true, so I'll leave you with that. This probably makes no sense, but I'm getting delusional at this point. This world is so complex, it's so interesting, because the reason why they don't have any issues basically is because of the fact that the cloud took over and turned into something called the Thunderhead, and now it controls everything just about. And it's just, there's so much more to it. It's so interesting to get into. It makes you wonder, like, if AI and the cloud really took over, is this what it would be like? But basically the Scythes are kind of looked up to as gods, more or less because people are kind of scared of them. They're supposed to be these unbiased people who just randomly choose people to kill, which are called gleanings, because if not, the world's going to be overpopulated. And the whole process of gleaning people is interesting because people can die, but they call it deadish in the book. So once you die, you get taken to a revival center and you get turned back to life. But if you are killed by a scythe, then you are permanently killed. They also give people immunity for a year, and it's just a lot going on. But I am loving it. I can tell. I think there is going to be a little bit of a romance subplot in here, but honestly, I like that a lot. But I also just love this world. There's so much depth to it, and it was just so interesting. Obviously, I'm not going to finish this book in this video, but I did highly enjoy it, would recommend it, and I'm glad that I started it because eventually I'm going to want to pick that back up. But that is pretty much it for this 24-hour readathon. That is a pretty good chunk of books, if I do say so myself. I feel like they all kind of had dark themes to it. Kind of. That's not really that dark. This has murder, this has death, this has a villain who has severed heads, Sunsets, this is about death, Scythe is about death. I guess I was feeling a certain type of way today, but those are all the books that I read. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!